The grand hall of the Galactic Council gleamed with lights that reflected off polished stone surfaces. Dr. Elena Kasperi stood alone at the center of the circular chamber. 17 different alien species watched her from high seats that formed a ring around her. Their many eyes, some glowing, some blinking, some unmoving, all focused on the human woman. "The council has reached its decision," announced the Thrax elder, his 4 arms raised. His voice boomed through the chamber. "Humanity is too dangerous to join the galactic community." Elena's heart sank. For 1 week, she had shown the council humanity's greatest achievements: art, music, science, and acts of kindness. But the aliens had only focused on wars, pollution, and violence in human history. "You cannot judge us only by our mistakes," Elena said, her voice steady despite her fear. "Every species has a violent past." "Not like yours," hissed a reptilian counselor. "Your kind fights even when there is no need. You change too quickly. You are unpredictable." "We offer you a choice," said another alien with blue skin that seemed to shift like water. "Either remain isolated in your solar system forever, or leave for the frontier regions beyond council space." "The frontier?" Elena asked. "That area is lawless. Pirates and slavers control those sectors. That is our final word," the Thrax elder said coldly. "You have 1 Earth year to decide." 3 days later, Elena's ship returned to Earth. The news of rejection spread quickly. People gathered in streets and squares, angry and afraid. Some governments collapsed as citizens demanded answers no one had. In her small apartment in Geneva, Elena watched the chaos on her screen. Her assistant, Miguel, brought her tea. "They fear us," Elena said quietly. "They see what we might become, not what we are." "What happens now?" Miguel asked. Elena stood and walked to the window. The lights of the city shone below, people going about their lives unaware that alien eyes had judged them unworthy. "We go to the frontier," she said. "If they won't give us a place at their table, we'll build our own." 6 months later, Elena addressed the United Nations. Representatives from all nations filled the hall, their faces grim but determined. "The council has exiled us," she said, her voice firm. "But in doing so, they have given us freedom. Out there, beyond their rules and their judgment, we can build something new, something they will one day respect or fear." The assembly erupted in applause. Plans for the exodus were already underway. Engineers designed colony ships. Scientists selected suitable target systems. Military leaders planned defenses. Elena knew the journey ahead would be difficult. Many would die. But as she looked at the determined faces around her, she felt a spark of hope. "They exiled us because they feared what we might become," she whispered to herself. "Let's build something worthy of that fear." The stars waited, and humanity would soon answer their call. 5 years passed since the judgment. Earth had changed. Massive ships filled the skies, each one larger than any building ever made by human hands. Admiral Jackson Weiss stood on the command deck of the flagship New Dawn and watched as thousands of colony ships formed into neat lines above Earth. "Status report," he ordered, his voice calm despite the weight on his shoulders. 50 million lives would soon depend on his leadership. "All 2,000 ships report ready, Admiral," his second-in-command replied. "The last supplies were loaded yesterday. We await your command." Jackson nodded. On the main screen, he could see the blue-green planet below. Many had chosen to stay behind, but the best and brightest from every nation had volunteered for this journey. Engineers, doctors, farmers, soldiers, everyone needed to build a new home among the stars. "Send the message to all ships," he said. "The exodus begins now." Across the fleet, engines flared to life. Earth grew smaller behind them as they moved toward the edge of the solar system. There, they would activate their faster-than-light drives and jump into the unknown. 3 council ships watched from a distance. The aliens had allowed this one-time migration, but had limited what technology humans could take. No weapons above a certain power level. No advanced shield systems. The Council expected humans to scatter and struggle to survive in the frontier. "They think we'll fail," said Dr. Elena Kasperi, now serving as chief diplomat on the flagship. "They think we'll fight each other or be picked off by pirates." "Then they don't understand humans very well," Jackson replied with a slight smile. "When has anyone ever succeeded by underestimating us?" The journey was not easy. 2 weeks in, radiation storms damaged 30 ships. Jackson ordered the fleet to stop and help with repairs rather than leave anyone behind. A month later, food supplies on several ships began to run low. Jackson organized a sharing system so no ship would go hungry. Then came the Council monitoring vessel. It approached with a message. The humans must split into 5 smaller groups and settle in different regions of the frontier. "For your own safety," they claimed. Jackson knew better. Divided, humans would be weaker. "Send this message to all ships," he ordered. "Prepare for emergency jump in 1 hour. We stay together." Elena looked worried. "The Council won't like this." "I'm not concerned with what they like," Jackson said. "I'm concerned with our survival." When the hour came, all 2,000 ships jumped at once. Their signals scrambled to prevent tracking. It was a dangerous maneuver, but it worked. They emerged 2 weeks later in an unclaimed star system with a beautiful blue-green planet, much like Earth, but untouched. "Scan complete," the science officer announced. "The planet is habitable. Clean water, breathable air, fertile soil." Jackson and Elena stood side by side, looking at the image of their new home on the main screen. "Send the message to all ships," Jackson said. "We've arrived at New Terra. The exile is over. Our real journey begins today." As the colony ships began their descent, Elena watched the new planet grow larger. "This isn't the end," she whispered. "It's just the beginning." 10 years after landing on New Terra, human settlements spread across the fertile valleys and coastal regions. 6 other nearby star systems now held human colonies too. Colonel Maya Okonkwo stood on a hill overlooking New Lagos, the largest city on New Terra. Its buildings gleamed in the morning light. "Beautiful, isn't it?" asked her assistant, Lieutenant Chen. "Yes," Maya agreed, "and many want to take it from us." As head of the Frontier Defense Force, Maya had seen firsthand how dangerous the frontier could be. Pirates, slavers, and alien raiders thought human colonies would be easy targets. They had been wrong. Maya's comm unit beeped. She answered quickly. "Colonel, we have an emergency," came a tense voice. "Slavers attacked Outpost 7. They took 300 colonists." Maya's face hardened. "Prepare my ship. Alert all combat teams." Within an hour, Maya's command ship and 5 smaller vessels launched from New Terra. They jumped to Outpost 7, a small farming colony on a moon in a nearby system. "Scan for their trail," Maya ordered as they arrived. The settlement below showed signs of a violent attack. Buildings burned. Fields were trampled. "Found them, Colonel," reported the sensor officer. "They're heading to the Broken Moon system. Likely their base is there." Maya studied the star map. The Broken Moons was a dangerous region, full of asteroid fields and radiation zones, perfect for hiding. "They think those dangers will keep us away," she said. "They're wrong." 2 days later, Maya's ships approached the slaver base hidden inside a hollow asteroid. Her team had developed special tactics for fighting in the frontier. Using Earth's old military knowledge, but adapting it for space battles, they had become feared warriors. "They have defense shields," Lieutenant Chen reported, "but they only cover the main entrance." Maya smiled slightly. "Then we make our own entrance." The human ships fired precision weapons at the back of the asteroid, cutting through the rock. Maya led the first team inside, wearing specially designed combat suits that gave humans an advantage in close fighting. Inside, they found not only the human captives, but thousands of aliens from different species, all chained and caged. The slavers fought hard, but were no match for Maya's well-trained forces. After the battle, Maya stood among the freed captives. A tall, blue-skinned alien approached her. "You saved us when no one else would," the alien said in broken human language. "The Council abandoned this region long ago. My people, the Azuri, offer you our friendship and alliance." Two other alien species, the insect-like vril and the small furry meki, also pledged their loyalty. Together, they helped return the freed captives to their homes. News of the rescue spread quickly across the frontier. Humans became known as dangerous fighters, but honorable allies. More alien species began to seek human protection. Back on New Terra, Maya reported to the Colonial Council. "We've shown the frontier that humanity stands for justice," she said. "We've gained 3 new allies today." "And many new enemies," warned one council member. Maya nodded. "Yes, but they know now that attacking humans has a price. And we're just getting started." 20 years had passed since humans settled on New Terra. The colonies grew stronger, but they faced a serious problem. The Council had limited what technology humans could bring to the frontier. Without new advances, the colonies would soon struggle to grow. In a large building at the center of New Terra's capital, twin scientists Aisha and Ahmed Khan worked tirelessly. Their laboratory, called the Prometheus Institute, was filled with strange plants, glowing liquids, and curious machines. "Try it now," Aisha said, adjusting a dial on a device made from parts that no alien would recognize. It didn't copy Council technology. It was something completely new. Ahmed pressed a button. The machine hummed to life, creating a field of energy that made the air shimmer. "It works," Ahmed exclaimed. "Our own shield technology, built from scratch." The twins had realized something important. The Council's ban only stopped humans from copying alien technology. It did not stop humans from inventing new ways to solve old problems. But a greater challenge soon arrived. A strange sickness spread through 3 human colonies. People fell ill with high fevers and breathing problems. Thousands were sick. Hundreds had died. "We've sent a message to the Council asking for medical help," Governor Lin told the twins during an emergency meeting. They refused. They said the frontier worlds must handle their own problems. "They expect us to die," Ahmed said angrily. Aisha stood up. "Then we'll have to save ourselves. We need samples from all sick colonies, and we need every plant and microbe from the affected areas." For 2 weeks, the Khan twins barely slept. They studied the disease and tested countless combinations of earth medicine and frontier plants. Other scientists joined them, working day and night. "Look at this," Aisha said one morning, pointing at a screen showing cells fighting the disease. "This local plant has compounds similar to earth antibiotics, but much stronger." Ahmed nodded excitedly. "And if we combine it with modified earth medicines?" 3 days later, they had created a cure. Medical ships rushed to all affected colonies. Within a week, the sick began to recover. News of the cure reached nearby alien worlds, where a similar disease had been killing thousands. The Azuri, now strong allies of humans, asked for help. "The Council always told us only they could provide advanced medicine," the Azuri leader said. "But you created something new that even they don't have." Soon, human medical ships visited many alien worlds, bringing the cure. More species sought alliance with the humans who helped when the Council would not. In a meeting room overlooking the city, Aisha and Ahmed presented their next ideas to the Colonial Council. "We can solve our technology limits by creating our own path," Ahmed explained. "Not by copying what the Council has, but by finding new answers to old questions. Human solutions to universal problems," Aisha added. "That will be our strength." Governor Lin smiled. "The Council exiled us because they feared human unpredictability. They were right to be afraid." Outside the window, New Terra's cities glowed with lights made by human innovation. Lights that were beginning to shine across the frontier. Human influence spread across the frontier. 27 planets now held human colonies or outposts. Alien allies traded with humans and sought their protection. This growing power caught the attention of the Vex Confederacy, a group of wealthy trading species that operated beyond council control. Dr. Thomas Mbeki walked slowly through the grand hall of the Vex meeting station. Once a history professor on Earth, he now served as humanity's chief diplomat. 3 Vex representatives waited for him. Tall, thin aliens with silver skin and 4 arms each. "We welcome the human envoy," said the lead Vex, named Zintor. "Your kind has become interesting to us." Thomas bowed slightly. "The human cooperative is honored by your attention." For 3 days, the Vex showed Thomas their wealth and power. They offered trade deals that seemed generous. They suggested humans could become their partners, junior partners, of course. "We can protect your colonies," Zintor said on the final day. "You only need to provide us with your new medicines and some of your unusual technology." Thomas listened carefully. Something felt wrong. That night, he studied human history books he had brought with him. He read about the old colonial powers of Earth, how they had offered protection to smaller nations while taking their resources. "They're trying to make us dependent on them," he realized, "just like European powers did to African nations centuries ago." The next morning, Thomas met the Vex with a different approach. "The human cooperative appreciates your offer," he said calmly, "but we propose a different arrangement." Thomas spread out a star map showing trade routes across the frontier. He pointed to areas marked in red. "These sectors suffer from pirate attacks. Your ships lose millions in cargo each year. The cooperative can secure these routes with our frontier defense force." The Vex looked surprised. This was not how junior partners were supposed to behave. "And here," Thomas continued, pointing to a cluster of stars, "your mining operations face technical problems our engineers can solve in new ways the Council has never considered." Zintor leaned forward. "What do you want in return?" "Equal partnership," Thomas said firmly, "access to advanced technology, and star maps of regions unknown to us." "You offer solutions to problems we've had for decades," Zintor said slowly. "How can humans, so new to space, do what others cannot?" Thomas smiled. "Because we think differently. Because we had to create new paths when old ones were closed to us." After 2 more days of negotiation, a historic agreement was signed. Humans would provide creative solutions and security to Vex traders. In return, the Vex would share technology and knowledge that would help humanity grow stronger. When Council investigators arrived months later to check on the primitive human colonies, they were shocked to find a thriving network of worlds. Human ships now traveled trade routes once controlled by Council members. Human goods were sold on hundreds of planets. "How did they advance so quickly?" one investigator asked in alarm. The answer was simple. Humans had turned exile into opportunity, weakness into strength. And they were just getting started. 50 years had passed since humans were exiled to the frontier. The human cooperative now included 37 star systems. Captain Sophia Chen guided her exploration ship, the Horizon, through the empty space between stars. Her mission was to map unknown regions beyond cooperative territory. "Captain, we're detecting unusual energy readings," her science officer reported, "coming from that dying star ahead." On the main screen, a faint red star flickered. Around it, something massive blocked some of the starlight. "Magnify," Sophia ordered. The image zoomed in to reveal an enormous ring-shaped structure surrounding the star. "It's artificial," the science officer said in amazement. "Someone built it." Sophia's heart raced. "Take us closer." Carefully. The Horizon approached the ancient structure. Scans showed it was millions of years old. Parts of it had broken down, but other sections still functioned. "We're receiving the signal," the communications officer announced. It's in an unknown language." For hours, the ship's computers worked to translate the signal. Finally, words appeared on the screen. "Approach, Docking Bay 7. Help." Sophia made a difficult decision. "Prepare a team. We're going in." Inside the massive structure, Sophia and her team found wide, empty hallways. The air was thin but breathable. Lights flickered weakly, guiding them deeper into the station. In a large chamber at the center, they found them. 12 alien beings with glowing blue skin and 4 eyes each. They looked weak, their bodies thin and frail. "You came," one of them said in perfect human language. "We knew someone would eventually." "Who are you?" Sophia asked. "We are the last of the Lumina," the alien replied. "Once, we were many. We had hundreds of worlds. Until we challenged the Council." The Lumina explained their history. Thousands of years ago, they had been the most advanced species in the galaxy. But when they refused to follow Council rules limiting technology, the Council turned other species against them. The Lumina were nearly wiped out. Only this sanctuary remained hidden. The Lumina leader explained, "We have waited here, hoping to find allies who could carry on our knowledge." "Why trust humans?" Sophia asked. "We have watched your kind. You create new paths when old ones are blocked. The Council fears this about you, as they feared it about us." The Lumina showed Sophia their greatest creation, starfolding technology that could bend space in ways the Council had forbidden. "We are dying," the Lumina leader said sadly. "Our race ends with us, but our knowledge can live on." Sophia faced a difficult choice: take this advanced technology and risk Council attention, or hide it to develop slowly. "We will honor your legacy," she decided, "but we must be careful how we use this knowledge." When the Horizon returned to New Terra, Sophia shared the discovery only with the highest leaders of the cooperative. They agreed to develop the technology in secret, sharing it only with their most trusted allies. Within months, human ships could travel farther and faster than ever before. The balance of power in the frontier shifted dramatically, and in the Council chambers, alarming reports arrived of human advancement that seemed impossible, unless they had found something that should have remained lost forever. As human influence expanded across the frontier, not everyone agreed on how to use their growing power. General Marcus Cruz, a veteran soldier who had been on the original exodus from Earth, watched the human cooperatives rise with growing anger. "We talk of peace and trade," he told his followers at a secret meeting on the outer colony of Avalon, "while the Council that exiled us still stands. They judged us unworthy. They sent us to die. Should we forgive this?" His audience, mostly soldiers and colonists who had lost family during the difficult early years, shouted their agreement. Their numbers grew each month. Prime Minister Diana Okafor of the Human Cooperative received the troubling reports at her office on New Terra. The cooperative had grown into a true power, with its own parliament representing all human worlds. "General Cruz has taken 3 colony ships and left Avalon," her security chief explained. "Over 2,000 people went with him." Diana frowned. "Where is he going?" "Unknown. But he took scientists who worked with Lumina technology." 6 months later, Diana received emergency news. A Council outpost at the edge of cooperative space had been destroyed. All evidence pointed to human weapons. "It was Cruz," Diana said, watching the video of the attack. "He's built warships using Lumina technology." Her advisors looked worried. "The Council will blame all humans. They'll say this proves they were right to exile us." Diana stood up. "Find Cruz. I need to talk to him directly." It took weeks to track the rogue general. His new colony, calling itself Terra Vindictus, or Avenging Earth, had settled on a hidden moon. They had built 6 advanced warships, unlike anything humans had created before. Diana's diplomatic vessel approached cautiously. She had insisted on coming personally, despite the danger. "General Cruz has agreed to meet you," her pilot announced. "But only you alone." In a plane room on Cruz's base, Diana faced the general. He had aged since the Exodus, his face lined with bitterness. "You're starting a war we can't win," Diana said directly. Cruz laughed. "Can't win. With Lumina technology, we can defeat the Council, make them pay for what they did to us, and become exactly what they feared," Diana replied. "Violent. Destructive. Is that the empire you want to build? One built on revenge. They deserve nothing less. Cruz insisted. Diana stepped closer. My grandparents died during our first winter on New Terra. I could hate the council for that. But look what we've built instead of hating. A society that helps others. That solves problems the council ignored for centuries. For hours, they argued about humanity's future. Diana spoke of cooperation, of building something new. Cruz spoke of justice and retribution. Finally, Diana made her final appeal. The council judged all humans based on our worst impulses. Don't prove them right. 3 days later, most of Cruz's followers returned with Diana to cooperative space. They had chosen building over destruction. But Cruz himself disappeared with one ship and his most loyal supporters. A reminder that the path of revenge would always tempt some humans, and that the choices ahead would shape what kind of empire humanity would ultimately become. Nearly a century had passed since humans were exiled to the frontier. The human cooperative had grown into the Terran Commonwealth, a powerful alliance of human and alien worlds. Over 60 planets now belong to the Commonwealth, with hundreds more as trading partners. Chancellor Eco Oladel stood in the Commonwealth's new observatory center on New Terra. The center used technology developed from Lumina knowledge to scan deep space. Chancellor, we've detected something alarming, the chief scientist reported. A gamma ray burst from a distant star. It's heading toward populated space. Eco studied the data carefully. Such bursts were rare but extremely dangerous. This one would hit a densely populated sector of Council space in 3 months. Billions would die without warning. Can the Council detect this? Eco asked. No, their technology can't see it yet. By the time they do, it will be too late to evacuate. Eco faced a difficult choice. The Council had exiled humans. They still refused official contact with the Commonwealth. Should humans risk their ships and people to save those who had rejected them? Prepare our fleet, Eco decided after a long silence. All ships with shield technology. We're going to help. His advisors looked surprised. The Council may see this as an invasion, one warned. Then we'll need to be very clear about our intentions, Eco replied. Contact our allies in Council space. Tell them what's coming. 2 months later, over 200 Commonwealth ships arrived at the edge of Council space. They were met by a small Council patrol. You are entering restricted space, the Council commander transmitted. Turn back immediately. We come to help, Eco replied from his flagship. A gamma ray burst will hit this sector in 30 days. We have the technology to protect your planets. The Council ships responded with threats. But Commonwealth allies within Council space confirmed the danger. Panic spread as people realized the Council couldn't protect them. Let them through, ordered a senior Council member, overruling others. We have no choice. The Commonwealth fleet spread throughout the endangered sector. Using Lumina-derived technology, they created massive energy shields above the most populated planets. When the gamma ray burst hit, the shields glowed brightly but held. Billions of lives were saved. On the Council homeworld, the Supreme Tribunal called an emergency session. For the first time in a century, a human representative was invited to speak. Chancellor Eco stood calmly before the 17 species that had once exiled his kind. Why did you help us? Asked the Thraxa elder, the same species that had announced humanity's exile long ago. Because that's who we are, Eco answered simply. Not the monsters you feared, but people who help when help is needed. The Council remained officially cold, refusing formal recognition of the Commonwealth. But individual Council species began establishing direct relations with humans against the Tribunal's wishes. As Eco's ship departed Council space, he received messages from dozens of worlds requesting trade, cultural exchanges, and protection agreements. The Council's unity was cracking. Humanity had built something even more powerful than the empire the Council had feared. They had built hope. Growing connections between Commonwealth worlds and progressive Council species worried the elder races who controlled the Council. Secret meetings were held on their ancient homeworlds. Humans were supposed to die in the frontier, said a Thrax elder to his allies. Instead, they've become a threat to our control. Meanwhile, Commonwealth Intelligence Director Hikaru Tanaka worked in her secure office deep beneath New Terra's capital. For years, she had gathered information about the original judgment against humanity. Something about it had never made sense. "Director, we found something," her assistant said, placing a data crystal on her desk. "From the archives of the Azuri. Before they allied with us, they were observers at our trial." Hikaru activated the crystal. It showed hidden recordings of the council chambers before humanity's judgment. The elder races spoke openly about their fears. "These humans advance too quickly," one said. "In a century, they could challenge our dominance. They must be contained now, while they're still primitive," another agreed. Then came the most shocking revelation: evidence the human diplomats had been poisoned before their appearances before the council. The toxin made them aggressive and unstable, justifying the council's fears. "They rigged the trial," Hikaru whispered. "They never gave us a fair chance." Hikaru brought her findings to Chancellor Iko. Together, they decided to share the truth with their closest allies in council space. The evidence spread quickly from world to world. 5 council species formally broke from the leadership and requested Commonwealth protection. They recognized the elder races had manipulated not just humans, but many others over thousands of years. "The Commonwealth offers a more equal partnership," announced the Mendari ambassador, whose people had been council members for millennia, "while the elder races have kept us dependent on them." The elder races were furious. They called the Commonwealth an aggressive human empire trying to destroy galactic stability. They ordered the massive Council Defense Force to prepare for a peacekeeping operation against human aggression. As enormous fleets positioned for what could become the most devastating war in galactic history, Chancellor Iko faced the most difficult decision of his life. "We could strike first," his military advisor suggested. "Our technology is now equal to theirs," and proved they were right to fear us. Iko replied, "No, there must be another way." Hikaru entered the emergency meeting with a daring plan. "We broadcast the evidence to every world simultaneously, not just council worlds. Every species in the galaxy should know the truth. The elder races will still fight," someone warned. "Some will," Hikaru agreed, "but their forces are mostly ships from other species. If those crews learn they've been lied to for generations." Iko nodded slowly. "Truth against deception. Let's see which is stronger." As both sides prepared for possible war, Commonwealth ships moved into position not to attack, but to transmit. The greatest revelation in galactic history was about to be shared, and humanity waited to see if the empire they had built, one based on cooperation rather than conquest, would survive its greatest test. 200 years had passed since humanity's exile. On New Terra, a grand meeting hall had been built for a historic occasion. Representatives from over 300 species filled the chamber. Today, they would sign the Galactic Concordat, a new agreement to replace the old council system. President Lianzhong, a direct descendant of the original Exodus colonists, stood at the central podium. Behind her were flags of every world joining the new alliance. 2 centuries ago, humanity was judged and found wanting, she began. "We were sent away to die. Instead, we built something new." The audience listened in respectful silence. Many remembered the broadcasts that had changed everything. When Commonwealth ships had shared the truth about the rigged judgment and centuries of council manipulation, rebellions had swept through council space. Most elder races had surrendered within weeks, their forces refusing to fight once they learned the truth. "The empire we built was not one of conquest," Lion continued. "It was an empire of ideas. Cooperation instead of control. Innovation instead of stagnation. Respect instead of fear." One by one, representatives came forward to sign the Concordat. Even the elder races eventually joined, faced with isolation in a transformed galaxy. Their power was gone, but they would have equal seats in the new alliance. "This is a day I never thought I'd see," said an old Thrax diplomat to his human counterpart. "We feared you would destroy us if you grew powerful. Instead, you gave us the chance to build something better," the human replied. After the ceremony, ships departed for Earth, now open to visitors from across the galaxy. In orbit around humanity's birthplace, a monument was unveiled. It showed a woman with her arms spread wide, welcoming the stars. The statue was of Dr. Elena Kasperi, who had faced the Council's judgment 2 centuries earlier. At the base of the monument were her words, "They exiled us because they feared what we might become. Let us build something worthy of that fear." A young diplomat from one of the elder council races visited Earth for the first time. Walking through the rebuilt cities, she marveled at how different reality was from what she had been taught. "I was raised to believe humans were dangerous savages," she admitted to her human guide. "But you built all this while we tried to hold on to the past." "We had an advantage," her guide explained. "When everything was taken from us, we had to imagine something new." Across the galaxy, ships bearing the symbol of the new alliance, stars joined by open hands, traveled between worlds once divided. Knowledge flowed freely. New discoveries benefited all species. The true empire that humanity built was not made of conquered worlds or subjugated peoples. It was built of shared dreams, mutual respect, and the simple idea that working together made everyone stronger. And somewhere among the stars, the spirit of those first exiles, who had faced the darkness with nothing but hope and determination, looked upon what their descendants had built and found it good.